Okay, so now we have another question for you.
Yeah.
One of the things that we get questions on, especially from newer, let's say investors, for example, that are looking to buy an investment property, they don't understand how the occupancy status affects the rates. So
Yeah.
investor versus vacation home versus primary residence. Can you kind of run through that for us and explain that to us?
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about the differences between occupancy types.
Okay.
First of all, we have three different types, and I just want to touch on each of them. So the main one, the most known, is primary residence. So that's where person or people are gonna occupy the property. They're purchasing to move in within 60 days, and the intention is to stay the property for at least 1 year. That is description of primary residence occupancy type.
Okay.
What it does, we have programs with low to no down payment available, and we're gonna have lower interest rates comparing to other types of occupancy, and I'll touch on that. And pretty much all mortgage programs offer this type of occupancy: conventional, VA for veterans, FHA, the Federal Housing Administration program, USDA, that's US Department of Agriculture rural area program, first-time home buyers. So they all offer this type of financing.
Okay.
So then we have vacation home, also known as second home.
Okay.
What that is when someone is purchasing a vacation home. It's not a home that it's a second for them or third. It's property where they're going to visit periodically throughout the year. Maybe it's property at the lake or ski resort, or even closer to their work if the primary residence is very far away from house, primary home, and they have to drive 4 hours. So sometimes people purchase close to work, and that would be considered a second home.
Okay.
Okay.
Minimum down payment is 10% with that one. It actually has a higher interest rate than on primary residence. Before, maybe people that used to purchase vacation homes before remember that rates were the same as a primary. Now they changed the guidelines, and the interest rate is as high as on vacation home, investment property. It's about 1 percentage point higher than on the primary residence.
Okay.
It could fluctuate depending on the down payment. The lower down payment, the higher rate, the worse terms you're gonna get.
Okay.
We do have some programs available with some limitations that offers a little bit lower interest rate on second homes than on investment properties, but it's still going to be higher than on the primary residence.
Okay.
And only conventional loan offers
Okay.
occupancy like that. You cannot get it with government programs.
Okay. And isn't there a distance for it to qualify as a vacation home? Doesn't have to be a certain distance from your primary residence?
Yes, it's at least 50 miles.
Okay. Okay.
I have a question on that topic too. Let's say someone lives currently in a 5-bedroom house within 10 miles of work. It's their primary residence. And now they want to turn that into a vacation home and move 30 miles out because maybe the school zone is better and they have children. So can they change their current primary residence to their second vacation home with the intention of moving to this new one and get that lower rate for the primary residence, as long as there's reason?
Right. So
it's further away.
Yeah, it has to make sense
Okay,
for the underwriter to understand why the move is, and they need to explain. So if they want to turn this one into second home or investment property and move somewhere else because of the schools, and they explain that it
Okay.
makes sense, that's fine. But we also look at the factor, how will it affect your drive to work? 30 miles maybe is not that far, but we do look at that aspect as well.
okay, okay,
Okay.
good. Thank
So the third one, we have investment property.
Okay, quick question.
Yes.
So let's say we have a primary residence and we buy an investment property. Then we want to get a vacation home. Can we still do, even though it's not our second home, can we still do the vacation home rate as long as it's 50 miles away?
Well,
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, go ahead. Never mind.
because again,
investment are about the same. They're both higher than the primary.
But the down payment's gonna be different, I bet.
Aha,
bet you.
well, let's see.
I
Let's
bet you.
not
Let's-
get, that's why we have Tatiana.
and there's some other guidelines, limitations that I don't want to just throw all of the 100 pages of the guidelines at you.
Yeah.
But those are the main things, the 10% down payment. There are some limitations on how much of that money have to be a buyer's own funds, for
Yeah.
example.
Got
On the
it.
primary home, in most programs, they don't, they can get the gift for the full down payment. On vacation home, they have to have 5% of their own funds. So there's some little nuances here and there
Okay,
that,
gotcha.
it's probably just impossible to put all of them here on the,
Yeah.
Right.
on the
What if-
Totally
presentation.
understand. Yeah, what?
Yeah,
What if-
but it's a good question, Sean, because again, second home is not a home that like number 1, 2, or 3, right? It's a home. It's a vacation home. It's what they're gonna be using it for.
Right.
That's what it means.
Gotcha.
And someone can have a primary home, investment home, and second home at the same time, or maybe they can have a couple of second homes even.
Yeah,
Then
okay.
they're not gonna be next to each other, but let's say someone is buying a house on a lake in Maryland, and they want to house on a lake in California. So those are gonna be two second homes.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So the investment property obviously is a property that will be rented out. It's purchased as an investment, and we're not going to live in there. Minimum 15% down payment is required. Definitely gonna have a higher interest rate. And I say that right now, if you put 25% down, you're gonna get best option
Mm.
with investment property, versus if you put 15 or 20% down. You might have exactly the same interest rate, but the trade is gonna have more points. And we spoke about discount points
Yes.
last week.
Yeah.
So, the same interest rate might have 2 points or 3 points versus 1 or half a point, depending on the down payment. And right now, the rate for investment property, we know that on primary, it's average rate right now is around 7.21, right? On investment, it's gonna be 8.125. And the points are gonna depend on how much down payment.
Okay,
The
Got
more
it.
down payment, more points you pay.
Okay.
okay. Is there any difference in rate or availability, anything, whether it's gonna be a long-term or a short-term rental?
No, there's no difference, and that we
Okay.
don't really look at that. That could be
Okay.
just more qualification for the loan amount
Okay.
difference with that. But another important factor for investment property, gifts are not allowed.
Okay.
Mm.
If someone is expecting a gift from parents for primary home or a vacation home, and it's okay, they cannot get a gift for investment property from someone who is not going to be on the title of the property.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
They'd have to kind of come in as an investor, right? Or
Right, so
Okay.
maybe they're not gonna be on the mortgage, but if they're on the title, so they're part of the transaction, then it's okay. But if it's someone who has nothing to do with this property, they cannot just give the money.
Okay.
Okay.
And another, well, those were more restrictions. And now actually the positive here is that we can use 75% of the future rental income to offset the mortgage payment.
Is this the DSCR loan or the DCSR loan?
Oh, no, that's a regular one. That's a good point about DCR. I'll talk about it. Thank you for
Yeah, good. I'm excited.
reminded me. But so basically, let's say you have a primary home and you have a payment of X, $2,000, right? And then you want to purchase investment property and your payment also is going to be $2,000. If you buy in primary and second home, we have to count both mortgage payments when we calculating how much person can qualify for, right? We call it debt to income ratio. So we look at what percentage of the income will go towards monthly obligations, such as mortgage payment. So basically, when someone is buying second home, they have to qualify with that mortgage payment. They have to have enough income to qualify. When someone is buying investment property, we could use 75% of future rental income to offset that mortgage payment. So let's say your mortgage payment is going to be $2,000 and the future rental income is going to be $2,000 as well. So we would just count 75% of that as income. So we're not going to count the whole $2,000 against the borrower.
It would only be like 500 against the DTI on that one.
But if they knew they could rent it out for $3,500 a month, then you got it like nothing,
they're gold.
right?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So if the rent is, if that 75% rent covers that,
Their
that mortgage payment, then they're good. They're golden.
That's great. But this is why I love short-term rentals, right? If you do it right, you can like make more money and you don't have the risk of, this is like a whole other topic, but then you don't have the risk of people not taking care of stuff and having a plumbing leak that they're responsible for fixing and then they don't, and you walk in a year later and want to rent it out and your house is destroyed. If it's short-term rentals, every week your cleaning crew's going in and making sure that everything's good and you know exactly who to charge.
That's right. Yeah.
It's
We might have to edit that part out, but that's just
could be a full-time job, but
Right.
people like it and it brings money, it grows equity. That's great.
Yeah.
That's right.
So the loan that Sean just mentioned a second ago, DSCR, that's a new loan that we can do where we don't use anyone's income at all, the borrower's income. So we don't look at how much they make. What we look at is if the future rent will cover the mortgage payment. So we look at 1-to-1 ratio, we call it, where if mortgage payment is $2,000, the rental income should be at least $2,000. So this way, there's no debt to income ratio calculations. If someone cannot show enough income or cannot show income at all, this program is for those individuals. But guidelines are different, interest rates are also different, and down payment would be, the higher down payment would be required. So, but it is an option there.
It's almost like bringing commercial lending into the residential space, which is really cool.
Right. And we have so the last bullet point, that's about that it's a conventional financing only.
Okay.
Gotcha.
We cannot do government programs on those.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You guys have a ton of different answers to all kinds of buyer-borrower scenarios.
And that's why they need to contact Tatiana.
Yes.
She got her slide.
Okay, good. So everybody reach out to Tatiana at 571-245-3000 or or
Or,
I know it's Tatiana at phmloans.com.
exactly. Thank you. I need to put it on the slide. I'll do it next time.
That's right, that's right. All right, well, thank you. That was very helpful.
Yeah.
You're very welcome.
All right, we'll see you next week.
See you
Yeah.
next time.
All right,
Bye.
bye.
Bye.